On March 11th, 2016, I lost my job. Well, to be fair, I'd been given my severance notice a week or so before, but that was my last day. Suddenly, I had a lot of time on my hands because even job hunting can only take up so much time. I'd always wanted to do Let's Plays ever since discovering them on YouTube, mainly Chucka Conroy. But I didn't have the equipment, I thought, and I didn't really know where to start. Then I mentioned it offhand to Maraudery X, who steered me to emulators, recommended a couple pieces of recording and editing software, and just generally gave me something to do besides turn into a depressed lump in between sending off applications. So I went off to GameStop and bought an Xbox 360 controller, downloaded OBS, Audacity, and VideoPad, and on March 26, 2016, the first episode of Aria of Sorrow went up on my channel. I'm now in the middle of my 18th Let's Play, with over 260 videos under my belt. These past 12 months have been a wild ride for everybody in a lot of ways, so I thought I'd look back over what I've done and what I've learned over the past year. And okay, maybe I'm a bit inspired by Chucka Conroy doing the same thing for the past 9 years. We share a start date, which I didn't do on purpose, so fate, maybe? I started off with Aria of Sorrow because, well, I love it. I think it's the best of the Metroidvanias that I'm able to play for the channel. I knew it really well, and I knew I could produce 50% trivia and 50% snarky commentary, to paraphrase the first episode. Looking back, I can see a lot of things I'd do differently. My commentary was kind of quiet, for one thing, and I can think of some amusing editing tricks I'd like to do, but, well, maybe in a few years I'll redo it. Still, it was a great game to learn the basics on, because I did know it so well. I did Link to the Past for a similar reason. I got it with my SNES in 1992, and at this point, I could pretty much play it in my sleep. Heart pieces, good B, all 4 bottles, I knew where pretty much everything was without having to look it up. It was the first game where I started using printed checklists, though. Harmony of Dissonance wasn't a favorite, but I did enjoy it, and since I'd started with an intention to focus on Metroidvanias, it was the natural choice. Also, I could make a lot of jokes about the plot, and did so. Then there was Super Metroid. Again, this was a game I'd played to death, but I'd never 100%ed it before this. I knew it was theoretically possible to beat it 100% without wall jump or any sequence breaking, and you never really see that on YouTube. So I decided I'd try it and do something different at the same time. This was where I really started experimenting with the subtitle voice. After that came Minish Cap. This is the first game I only finished while practicing for the LP. There'd be more, of course. I'd never made it past those 3 dark nuts right before Vati, to be completely honest. Luckily, I discovered how to use bombs to make those guys a lot less difficult. Kickle Cubicle is kind of an obscure puzzle game, though you can find a lot of walkthroughs on YouTube. But it was one of my absolute favorites of the NES era, and was the primary reason I got an NES emulator downloaded at all. Not just to LP the game, but just to play it again. My cartridge was at my mom's house, 5 hours north. This was where I started chopping large portions of the episodes out. Zero Mission and Symphony of the Night were 2 games that, as much as I enjoyed them, mostly stick out in my memory for the internet issues I was having at the time. Uploading became a chore and sometimes wasn't even possible. Legend of Zelda was a lot of fun, but also included a lot of on-the-fly restructuring, which I didn't normally do. But I kept finishing things way faster than I'd allotted time, and so it was off to the next thing. That actually helped make me a lot better about estimating and juggling ideas of time in-game, which has been helpful. AM2R was my first fan game, and one of the first I played without extensive experience. Symphony of the Night was new to me, but I'd still beaten it 3 times before I even started to LP it. AM2R, I only beat once. It was a lot of fun to do, even if I did have to move in the middle of it. Earthbound was my first RPG, which I hadn't actually considered doing until a couple of people suggested them. I started with Earthbound because I had played it back in the day, and because, aside from the inventory space issues, there isn't a lot of min-maxing. Plus, I've always loved the story, and it also let me experiment a little with musical accompaniment. It was the first time I've had to do repetitive minor edits, removing battles without making it so I wasn't showing my path. Adventures of Lolo, and later Lolo 2, was basically a palette cleanser, and again, was a game I'd never even played before I decided to do it as an LP. I liked Kickle Cubicle though, and there were some similarities, so I thought I'd give it a shot. It was nice to have something short, simple, and fun to follow up something long like Earthbound. So then I jumped right into the Oracle duology. I'd started these on the 3DS Virtual Console, but I'd never gotten very far. It's a lot nicer playing them with a big controller and a wide screen. Mostly I discovered that the Goron Dance minigames are giant trolls, but it was nice to really experience these games in their entirety for the first time. Metroid Fusion I did, well, mainly because I love Metroid. I'd never finished it, and I do think it gets some undeserved hate. I did say I was influenced by Chuck Conroy a lot, right? Speaking of undeserved hate, that's also why I did Mystic Quest. I'd played it a few times back when you could still rent cartridges from Blockbuster, and I thought it was cute and fun. Not incredibly meaty, and I can see why it backlashed so hard, but it was fun and I kind of wanted to show it off. And now, with Final Fantasy Detective Conan, I'm sort of taking things to the next level. Lots of editing, profiles, filler videos with lots of title cards that take way more work than 30 minutes of video footage. I've learned a lot. In the next year, I'm hoping to experiment with my style a bit more, try to do some flashier stuff. I'm also preparing to launch my Patreon. That'll open concurrent with the launch of my next LP, and I'll give everyone more details about that as it happens. I'm probably going to have a new computer at some point, so hopefully that one will run Desmume, and I can play games like Dawn of Sorrow and Portrait of Ruin. Ideally, I'd like to be able to afford a new 3DS, so I can upgrade the firmware and stream 3DS games. I'd love to play Link Between Worlds for you all. Regardless, though, I intend to keep putting out what I hope is quality content, and I hope you'll keep joining me here, because all of you have made this past year a lot of fun for me. Let's see what happens in the next one.